I discovered my wife was having an affair with her boss. I ended things with her, and she's been miserable ever since. I've been married to my wife Jilly for 11 years. We dated for over 7 years and had a great relationship. We were really close and always supported each other. We were friends before we started dating. Everything was going well until Gilly got a new boss, John. She was really excited about him when he started, and I didn't think much of it. When he got back from work, she was always going on about him. She said he was a great boss, that he appreciated and nurtured every employee, that he made everyone feel good about themselves, that he was so caring and visionary about their future. At first, I was really enthusiastic, but then it started to bother me because she no longer asked about my day. I thought it was just a phase and that she would soon stop gushing over him. It went on like that for a few weeks, and then she did stop. She also stopped talking to me. She got cold and distant, but it wasn't obvious. I didn't notice her changed behavior immediately, but now that I know the whole story and look back, I think I sensed a cold vibe at the start. I didn't realize she was cheating until it became persistent, and she showed some other red flags. She soon started coming home late from work. She often worked late at the bank, which was nothing out of the ordinary as she was in finance. She also started going out with her work friends again, which was nothing new as we both socialized with our colleagues. She wasn't doing anything drastically different, just a lot more of it. She was also becoming resentful of me, and our sex life was non-existent. I had a feeling something was wrong, but you don't start suspecting your partner at the drop of a hat. I talked it over with some close friends and they said it might just be a phase. Every couple goes through these ups and downs now and then, so I shouldn't worry. They suggested I rekindle my marriage and do something romantic for her. One friend suggested I recreate our old memories. We had a lot of great memories together, and she liked doing things like this. Our anniversary wasn't for a while, and it wasn't her birthday. My best friend reminded me that the anniversary of our graduation was next week. That was also the day we had our first sexual encounter. We had sneaked out of the graduation party and gone to her grandparents' house, who were away that night. I had made her favorite hamburgers, so I decided to recreate that meal. I got home early from work, made her burgers and apple pie, got some wine and got the living room all lit up with fancy lights. It was all her favorite. She came home and was really happy to see everything. She grabbed me and kissed me loads. I have to say it was all a bit fake because a few minutes in she made a puppy face and I asked her what happened. She said she'd actually come home to change. One of the senior managers was throwing a farewell party, so she had to leave. I was a bit upset, but she said she'd be back in a couple of hours. I said okay and didn't make a scene. It was 8 when she left, promising to come back before midnight. Her 2 hours became 4, but I didn't say anything. I kept waiting until midnight, but there was no sign of her. I wanted to call or text her, but I didn't. I finally stopped at 2, I turned off all the lights, put all the food in the container and went to sleep. I felt a bit stupid for trying so hard to get my marriage back on track, but it seemed like it was just me who was trying. It was already dawn when she slowly crawled into the room and slipped into bed. She made very little movement so as not to wake me up. I pretended to be asleep when she woke up in the morning. I asked her when she came last night and she said it was around 1:30. Morning. I gave her a look and said that I was up until 2. She said she was drunk and tired and didn't remember the exact time, but it was definitely before dawn. It was a plain lie. Before I could say anything, she got defensive. She said, "Why are you interrogating me like this? This isn't the first time I went out with work friends and you go out with yours. What's what? What's so big a deal about it?" She was right. There was no big deal about it, but the circumstances were definitely messy. I have to admit that I checked her phone the next day. I looked at the chats with John, her boss. I didn't find anything inappropriate, but it seemed like the chats had been deleted in between because the conversations stopped suddenly. I checked her gallery, but I couldn't find anything. I scrolled through all the chats, and I found a group chat between the people who went to the party last night. Everyone's last text saying they'd reached home safely came before 12, except for John and my wife, when everyone left before midnight. What was she doing with John all night? I needed to confront her about this. I knew the information she'd given me was unreliable, so I started looking for more evidence. I got a GPS tracker to install in her car, but the real challenge was getting her to let me do it. I asked her if the car needed servicing, but she seemed very guarded about it. She was even more secretive than she was about her phone. I was starting to think there was more to it, so when she was asleep, I sneaked into her car to install the GPS device. I also took the opportunity to scavenge her car. I found a tab hidden I found the file in the back seat. It didn't need a password, so I was able to access it. What I saw next made me throw up. There were naked pictures and videos of Jilly which she had sent to her boss. Not only that, but there were videos of her boss sending her instructions on different types of kink positions, how he wanted the videos, and how he would treat her in the next session. I took all of those as evidence and left the car. I didn't have the strength to go home and see her, as her boss had been coming. I went to my friend and showed him a glimpse of those pictures. He was our common friend from college, and he was shocked to find Jill involved in such activities. He put me in touch with a lawyer because I was too distorted to do that myself. His distant cousin was a divorce lawyer, and we were able to get an appointment on the same day the lawyer started. The paperwork was on the grounds of infidelity, but the lawyer said it would take 2 weeks to process it. I wasn't ready to go home, so my friend offered me a place in his spare room, and I accepted. I texted her to say I'd be away on a work trip for 10 days, and she replied with just an okay. Now I'm just waiting for the divorce papers to arrive so that I can show her and get out of this. One thing took an unexpected turn during that 15-day wait. I had already gathered all the evidence of infidelity, so tracking her car was pointless. However, I did it anyway, as soon as she found out I was away. She rushed to her lover's place to have sex with him. I tracked her for a week or so, but then the device suddenly stopped working. I received a text from Gilly saying, "This is your plan," followed by a series of apes. She also made promises about breaking things with bows and becoming a good wife. I ignored all of it. I wanted to ghost her, but now my plan was ruined. This made me angrier. I blocked her from all channels but emailed her to say that she would be receiving the divorce papers soon, and that all. Communication between us should happen through my lawyer. When the papers reached her, she spammed my inbox again. The apologies gradually changed into pleadings, where she requested one last meeting before signing the papers. She even threatened that she wouldn't sign it until I met her. My lawyer suggested that if one meeting could expedite the process, I should consider it. I agreed to meet at a public place. She came with puffy eyes and a miserable face. She started the conversation by saying she knew she'd ruined everything. She said she felt disgusted about herself and wasn't sure if it would help, but she'd left her job and stopped seeing the other person. I sat quietly and listened to her rant about the same stuff. She kept saying she was sorry about the whole thing. She said, "I know I messed everything up. I feel awful about it. I'm a terrible person and don't deserve forgiveness. I'm not sure if this is going to help, but I've left the job and stopped seeing that guy." I said it didn't matter to me, but she kept going on and on about how sorry she was. She nudged me for a response. I asked her why she broke down again and struggled for words. I told her to be honest and not manipulate me. She said the boss had an amazing personality and an attractive aura. Women were attracted to him, but he showed interest in me. I felt like I had won. He made advances on me and said I was the most attractive. One in the office, and he couldn't get his head away from me. I fell for it. He was a dominant personality and often gave me submissive tasks, which I found thrilling. I asked that she was never into BDSM. In the initial years of marriage, when I suggested it, she refused, and I accepted her decision. What had happened now? She said it was different. It was thrilling because John could have chosen anyone in the office. The young woman was luring him over her, but he chose me, a woman older than him. I felt special and competitive and did everything to please him. She ended by saying, "I know all this is disgusting, but you wanted to know the truth, and this is the truth." She tried to shift the blame onto. The boss said he'd manipulated her into this, which might be true to some extent, but the bigger and uglier truth was that she enjoyed it. She cried inconsolably, cursing herself. I won't say I didn't melt for a while when I saw her in such a miserable state, but I remained unmoved. I stood up to leave, and she held my hand, asking if there was the slightest chance of getting back together. I said no and left. She sent the signed divorce papers with the house key to my lawyer 2 days later and wrote a long, heartfelt letter. She sent me an email saying goodbye. I was really upset by it. She was the woman I loved for so many years, and now she's leaving me. It's going to be really tough to move on from her, but that's what I have to do. The divorce proceedings are underway. I don't know if I'll ever be able to move on from her because I still love her. But the way she's treated me makes me think I'll never let her get close to me again. Thanks for all your support. I'll let you know if there's any new developments.